We got ourselves a new Comm-Link update for what's coming with Darktide. Now, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's just get right down to it, and then I'll expand on more of it. So what they're saying here in this post here is that next week will be another patch that's really kind of focused on talents, traits, as well as some weapon balancing. And then we'll have a dev diary that then discusses the challenges that they've hit when it comes to adding crafting to the game, as well as how they're going to start addressing the store as well as Melk's requisitions. So if that's all you wanted to know about this video and what's happening in Darktide, that's all the news. Unfortunately, I don't have anything cooler or better for you. If you are heading out though, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. All those things do help me out in a huge way. Also, you can head on over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/ItalianSpartacus, to watch me play Darktide every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I might actually be switching off and playing some Vermintide in the meantime, just kind of bouncing between the two. But feel free to head on out if you are, but if you want to stick around and just kind of go through this very quick post with me, hang tight. But let's get started here on Comm-Link 2, or whatever the hell, Community Comm-Link, 2nd February 2023 for Warhammer 40k Darktide. As always, I've highlighted the pertinent parts. Let's go through this. So last week we saw the release of patch 1.0.22, shortly followed by hotfix 1.0.23. What did I just do? Don't know what I just did. Well, it just messed with all the highlighting, but that's not a big deal here. So we'll go ahead and re-highlight that. Shortly followed by hotfix 1.03 and hotfix 1.024, which brought many bug fixes, dependencies, and blessings, as well as some much-needed exploit fixes. Thank you to everyone who gave us constructive feedback on the layout and formatting of the patch notes. We'll be sure to add these ideas where possible in patch notes going forward. Now, over the course of the next week, we will be releasing patch 1.0.25, which will focus on fixes for issues like talents, traits, and some tweaks to weapon balancing. And what I'd kind of want to see in this section, would love to see another pass on autoguns. We did get passes on the autoguns in the very first quote-unquote content patch that came out in early December, but autoguns are in a really weird spot. I don't expect them to be better than las guns. I expect them to be different than las guns. But the issue is that their ammo pool, and not even necessarily the pool in the amount in the magazine, it's the amount of total ammunition that they've got, makes them a hindrance because you burn through their ammunition so quickly. Even a las gun who takes 3 shots per round, I still feel like I'm not having to re-up on my ammo nearly as much as I am with my auto gun, which has just a poor ammo pool to begin with, even when rolled at 80%. Another gun I would really love to see get a tweak balance here. Tweak balance, is that a thing? Tweaking of the weapon balance would be the shotgun. I actually really enjoy the shotgun, especially have a very good roll, but the biggest issue with the shotgun is that its max ammo pool is too low. A max rolled shotgun will have about 55 shells in its pool, with 11 in the actual gun itself. That's a total of 66. That's 6 total full reloads. That's nowhere near enough, considering that a shotgun on anything that is not unarmored, flak, or infested is going to take 4 to 6 shots to get down, assuming you have really good rolls on it and you're playing something that can actually kind of knock through that armor. So those are some big weapon balances I would love to see. I have talked up and down about wanting to see a better recoil animation on the Thunderhammer, and don't come at me with that bullshit about saying, oh, just press 1 and reset the ammunition animation. That shouldn't be the way that we make a Thunderhammer work, because the Thunderhammer should just be a face melter and have some sort of like, oh, okay, it's going to burst something down, then I get the recoil. The fact of the matter is, on Damnation, with a Thunderhammer, it still takes 2 hits to kill, or 3 hits to kill a Crusher, depending upon the situation. So it shouldn't necessarily have that bad of a recoil if it's not going to have the heavy damage spike. Or just give me a heavier damage and I'll take the recoil. Full patch notes will be available on Steam and Darktide forums shortly after the patch goes live, so we'll be able to see what that looks like next week. So this is Thursday. I'm sorry, this is Friday, so this came out on Thursday. So we should be seeing this hopefully early next week. And then after that, following patch 1.0.25, we'll also publish a dev blog, which will take a deeper dive into crafting and talk about some of the challenges we had. So not stoked on that little sentence right there, of course, right? Because this is kind of telling me that we're going to get a dev blog next week. And I'm sorry, following patch, we will be also published a dev blog. So I'm not sure if that dev blog is coming next week or the week after, which tells us the challenges that they've faced with crafting. Meaning we probably, I'd say it wouldn't be a wrong assumption to make thinking that crafting probably won't arrive until March. I'm going to be optimistic and hope that it actually comes more towards the mid-end of February, because, and I've said this so many times, crafting is the thing that would really kind of keep the longevity locked into the game until we get more content, until we get to a better place with maps and contents and so on and so forth. Because if I can kind of custom fit out and play with weapons and test weapons and try out different blessing builds and perk situations, then I am so much happier than trying to just rummage through the store every hour and hope to God I get near quarter of a good roll that I can then hopefully limp its way across the finish line with something making some passable kind of blessing and perk situation. So hopefully we get crafting sooner rather than later. Great to see a dev blog that kind of gives us transparency on the issues that they're having with the crafting, but I'd rather just have the crafting and have that dev blog come at the same time. Like, hey, here's crafting, here's why it took us so long. Sick. Rather than, here's why it's taking so long for crafting, and then not anything. That dev blog on why it's taking so long for crafting should have come out at the beginning of January if they actually hit roadblocks. Cool. Explain the roadblocks, create an expectation of delay, and like, hey, that we're going to be actually facing it, but here's our issue right now, rather than coming into us 2 months delinquent of when it was supposedly supposed to have been finished. That's, I guess, the bad taste in my mouth from that little statement right there. But we'll also be digging into topics surrounding acquiring items, including Armory Exchange and Melk's Requisitorium. So I'd love to see what kind of solutions they've got in place right there. The current system of waiting every hour and watching either on the web app or jumping into the game can be a little, it is very tedious. So I'd love to see if they're going to be addressing this in a different way. One of the ones that I had proposed would simply be that every level we are granted an Emperor's Gift when you're post level 30. So every time you fill up that experience bar, you are granted an Emperor's Gift, and make that experience bar some arbitrary number that you have to fill up and blah, 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 blah. Also, Sire Melk's Requisitorium looks like it'll be getting a bit of a tooling as well, because you don't necessarily get very good items from Melk. And on top of it, what's the point of the mystery items? Because it's already random as it is. So it's not like I'm going to pay my my specific currency that is harder to get than my other currency, my ducats, that is easier to get when it's just as random for both. So love to see how they're going to be balancing and talking about that. But this concludes all of the news here for Warhammer 40k Darktide. I know a lot of us are in a bit of a holding pattern with this game, and I'll continue to cover any news that comes out with it. I do have some shorts I'll be posting up. I've got one for like the combat shotgun and some other ones, and I'll still be streaming Darktide. I'm not going to be abandoning it by any stretch of the imagination. I just would really love to see more action versus motion, because I'm seeing a lot of motion right now, which is not necessarily indicative of anything. It's just telling me, hey, yeah, we're here and we're making communication, but that communication isn't supported by much except for a hotfix patch. Great, cool, but this is still a live service game, and hotfixes and stuff like that are things that I would expect in between major content drops. And the fact that we're not even getting premium cosmetics anymore, and I understand the optics behind that, but we're not getting any form of new anything until, at the very minimum, it seems like this this crafting patch, because they didn't mention anything here in 1.025 about content. It's just simply fixes and balancing. We have a Vox transmission from the beginning of the year, from the very first week of January, that is hopefully affixed to some sort of content that we're probably not going to see until after all this stuff is done. So it's going to be a long road, but it'll be a well-fought road, because Vermintide 2 had plenty of growing pains and many different iterations of crafting and stuff like that. So I expect Darktide to unfortunately go through the same kind of growing pains that Vermintide 2 hath gone through. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.